Thanks, Mike. You can go now. Here's what I owe you.
Hey, how about my gas?
Take bicarbonate of soda.
Go Get 'em Haines from 1936 tells the story of the character Steve Haines, played by William Boyd of Hopalong Cassidy fame, who is an ambitious reporter who is on the trail of a character named John Graham, played by actor Lee Shumway. Now, this is a wealthy utilities tycoon. He has defrauded a bunch of investors of their life savings, and now he is on the run, trying to flee the country. So he follows him aboard an ocean liner, and while he's there, Steve runs into an old friend, Gloria, played by Eleanor Hunt. And he's chatting with her for a little bit, and soon the ship is leaving. Oh no, he wasn't planning on taking a trip out to sea. So he's stuck, and while he is here, he's going to continue his investigation of this shady utilities tycoon. Well, actually, he doesn't seem to be all that bothered being stuck on this boat. He tries to get friendly with the character named Jane, played by Sheila Terry, and when she brushes him off, he finds a creative way from the ship's steward how to get her room number. It's kind of clever, actually.
Could you give me the young lady's stateroom number?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. That's against the ship's rules.
Would it be against the ship's rules if you should tell me your age?
No, but I could tell you that on my grandmother's next birthday, she'll be 84.
Steve wires his editor for money so that, he can stay on the ship and get a room and all that stuff, but it's not going so well with getting the funds. But he does manage to bump into a goofy drunk character named Reggie, played by actor Jimmy Aubrey, who goes tumbling down some stairs when he bumps into him. But he's a friendly enough fellow, and Steve finds out that he has a stateroom that he offers to share, so he takes him up on the offer. Now at a bar on the ship, Steve runs into some other people that he's familiar with. Tony Marchetti, played by Leroy Mason, who's a nightclub owner, and also a veteran actor, Henry Kent, actor Clarence Geldert. Steve tries to get friendly again with Jane, but turns out that she is the daughter of this character, Henry, and he didn't know about this, and things don't seem to be going too well for this relationship. But later at a fancy dinner on the ship, Steve makes a suggestion to the captain that they put on an old-fashioned melodrama. Stuff like that was common in the 1930s. And everybody seems to like the idea. Steve and Jane go for a swim together and check out that crazy little pool on the ship with people diving into it. I mean, how deep was that thing anyhow? Well, Steve finally catches up with the character of John Graham. Now, he's on this ship operating under the name of Frank Marion, to avoid detection. And, he tells the guy that he resembles John Graham, the utilities tycoon, and of course, he's dismissive about it. But Steve is still pretty cordial and invites him to the play later that night. Now, as the play is about to begin, it's called Her Father's Revenge, news has gone out on the ship about the fact that this character, John Graham, is actually there on the ship, the one that has caused so many people to lose everything. And he's going to be in the audience at the play that very evening. Well, the show starts, and Gloria comes out for a rousing, "Oh, Willie, come back."
Oh, Willie, come back. Oh, Willie, come back. Cry the night. Oh, Willie, I'm lost and alive. My poor heart with teardrops are laid.
Well, after this, as the play is short a performer, Steve last minute asks John Graham if he would be willing to substitute in the play. I don't know, that seemed a little silly considering he's trying to stay undercover and why he would agree to this, but whatever, he agrees, and the show goes on. However, during the scene where a jealous lover appears, and shoots Graham's character, someone has apparently switched the guns and Graham is killed for real. And so the film switches gears into a murder mystery with numerous people as suspects because this utilities tycoon was so hated by so many people. Steve takes over this investigation determined to get to the bottom of things, but will he succeed? With not that much time left in the film, let me just wrap this one up and I'll let you catch the exciting ending for yourself. Here are my thoughts on this one. Go Get 'Em Haines was filmed in 1935 and released in 1936. It was released by Republic Pictures and directed by Sam Newfield, who has directed many films I've reviewed on this channel, namely old PRC goodies. Honestly, I discovered this film when I was browsing the films of William Boyd. I've watched and reviewed a bunch of Hopalong Cassidy films on my channel, and I was looking for another one to check out, and this particular film caught my attention as William Boyd, he was largely known through his career as Hopalong Cassidy, so it's rare to see him in other different roles. It's not even a Western, so he doesn't have the black cowboy attire and the spurs. There's no Gabby Hayes or anything like that. I just thought this was a neat departure, seeing him in a different kind of role. And I love that title, Go Get 'Em Haines. If you want to overanalyze it, there's multiple ways you could read the title. It could be Go Get 'Em Haines, like an imperative, go chase that lead, buddy. Or there's Go Get 'Em Haines, like a moniker, meaning he's the guy that goes and gets them. All right, I'm probably taking that a little too far. Back on track. My thoughts on the film was that this was an enjoyable, breezy film, just under an hour in length. It starts off a little bit sillier. It's a more comedic movie initially, with the character Steve. He's stuck on this ocean liner. He's swimming and interacting with the drunk guy and flirting with Jane and so on. And then it briefly turns into musical theater, and then the rest of the film is a murder mystery. It's a little clunky and implausible at times, but I think William Boyd makes this one worth watching. He's an enjoyable lead as this reporter out to get to the bottom of the murder mystery. Most of this film was shot over the span of a year on an actual ocean liner, one that was traveling between Los Angeles and Panama. And I love that about this film, and that you get a window into what an actual cruise ship would have looked like. Like the dining room, the swimming pool, and all those sort of things that you see in the film. And then I got thinking about this a little bit more. If you think about it, 1936, air travel existed, but it was more of like a luxurious and expensive way to travel, and not yet mainstream. So cruises like this would have been much more common. But stop and think about it. From the time of this film, the Titanic had sank roughly 20 years prior. Just 20 years. So, you watch something like this, and maybe you wonder, how many people on board would have had that in mind, At the time of this film, Titanic survivors would still be around to tell their stories. And this whole tragedy would still occupy people's attention through books, films, and news stories, and so on. So, I don't know, I was just thinking about this. It makes you wonder if people still had that fear of an ocean crossing. So, one of the things I took away from this film. Here's another one. This film features one of my favorite dad profanities, and that's the word Nertz.
What would it cost to send just one more word?
50 cents. What word would you like to add?
Nertz.
So just a little background. In the 30s through the 50s, when somebody would say Nertz in an old movie, it's a slang expression. It's essentially just a humorous, dismissive way of saying, "Aw, nuts," or "nonsense," or "what a load of bunk." So if you're like me and you use a lot of dad cuss words, this is a great one to add to your vocabulary. Anyhow, Go Get 'Em Haines from 1936. It was a fun blend of comedy, music, and crime drama. It was just an enjoyable B-movie that, if anything, is worth checking out just to see William Boyd in a non-Hopalong Cassidy role, as well as for some of the fascinating footage of what it was like traveling on an actual 1930s ocean liner. So this was a fair film, and I think it's one worth checking out.